do differently if we had our lives to live over again? And my guest, relationship expert, April Braswell, is with me in studio. April, good to have you back.
Thank you.
So many people, when I posted this on Facebook, getting audience participation as I enjoy doing, they said, oh, I don't have regrets.
Oh, never.
I don't have any regrets. And I thought, you're lying to yourself. For one thing, how else can we learn if we don't look back at what we've done wrong? And how can we improve who we are?
Yeah. Well, so it's funny because I talk about both dating as well as marriage relationships. And in terms of for dating, a lot of folks, by the time they get to me to be their dating coach, it's because I've been doing this so badly for so long. Oh, or I gave so much time to my career. If they're often women sort of late 30s, early 40s, where they're sort of doing this thing like, well, you at least got married, but you did like the multiple degrees where they're giving so much time and energy to their careers that, oh, getting married kind of passed me by, and they're 41, 42, can I still have children? Those are some of their biggest regrets.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. And there was a list on Forbes that talked about regrets in our lives, and that's one of the big ones is either, not having done something or done too much of something. And I certainly think where relationships come in, we can end up spending a lot of time doing things other than relationship, thinking we're building up to that relationship, but we spend so much time that we never got to the relationship.
Exactly. Or it's sort of like the other side of it is then all of the guys we dated and stayed with for so long, thinking he was going to marry me. As opposed to realizing there's sort of really that fish or cut bait thing of ladies, how long are you going to give it's usually the ladies, how long are you going to give this relationship in order to assess it for, is this someone who really is marriage worthy for me?
Right.
And if he's not, I don't want you overly deciding this within like the first or second date, but it's like give it about a month and then if not, move on. Do not give it 6 months, 6 years and have that much time that you've plowed into the really wrong relationship.
So how can people know, though, if this is the wrong relationship? I mean, you think you're investing. You know that all relationships have bumps and edges. And so what's the point where you go, all right, you know what? I have 6 years invested in this relationship. I'm walking. Because that's a hard thing. I didn't date anyone that long, except for the man that I married. I married young.
Right.
But I did date one guy for way too long in high school. And I missed so much in high school. And I'd have to say, he's a great guy, but that's a regret.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there are a couple things. There's sort of like age group clusters. If you're in high school and you're in college, yes, for goodness sake, do date longer before you're getting married. When I'm saying, the 6 year sort of thing, that's when you're sort of really over 25 and you're getting into your 30s. It's don't be dating for years. It's when you're young, I would really recommend to girls in high school, girls and boys in high school, do not really massively couple off too soon. Date a bit. And we kind of have this thing in our culture now where like the minute you're going on a date together, you're a couple. It's like, who made this announcement? How did that happen? You didn't really decide it. There were no real discussions of, like where guys in the old days used to pin the girl or something like that with this high school or college fraternity pin. You're a couple now. But other than that, I really want people dating and getting to know. And it's kind of like you try different sports before you commit and go letter in one sport. Try a few different sort of types of people to see what can I learn even from dating a variety of people.
I think one of the best tips I ever heard on dating came from a Christian program that I studied, and I'm sorry I'm remiss in not knowing the name of it, but it said, don't date someone that you wouldn't marry.
Right.
Like the moment the light bulb goes off, I don't think I can marry you, you don't date them anymore because dating is for the purpose of marriage. It's not the same thing as a friendship.
Right. No, it's not. And that's the other side, too, in terms of the 6 year relationship. So this is sort of like fast forwarding to folks who are really over 25 in their 30s or so. It's if you were dating for 6 years, oh my goodness, it's already like 4.5 years too long. It's really because I've been married and I'm with someone who we're going to get married, but we don't have the ring officially yet. So I know what it's like, and men who want to get married and where they are thinking that, they talk about it. Ladies, it's so funny because we pretty much don't need to bring it up. We might need to sort of mention a few things specifically or whatever, but men who want to marry us, they are very aware that they need to get us off market, make us theirs, or there are other contenders who will be at our door. They're very clear about it. They're bringing it up in one way or another, usually really within the first couple of months. So if he's not mentioning it himself really between like that 3 and 6 month mark, bring it up yourself in a very tactful, feminine fashion and believe him what he says. Oh, I never want to get married again.
That's true.
Believe him.
Yeah.
Because when he changed.
You're not going to be that girl who like woos him and all of a sudden everything he thought he wanted, he doesn't want anymore, and now he's so head over heels. That happens in romance novels.
Yes.
Not very often in real life.
Exactly.
Let's move on to marriage, April, because
Please.
I don't want to run out of time with you.
Thank you.
So in marriage, it's interesting. One of the top 25 on Forbes as well was folks who had let their marriages dissolve.
Yes.
I personally have a strong feeling about this of children. Mothers especially, when we have our children, we think we have to put them first,
Right.
which I think in a lot of ways we do, but they don't have to all encompass every moment of our energy. Our
Yes.
first priority should still be that man that you
Yes.
married, or all of a sudden you're going to find yourself with a self-centered child because you've given
Right.
them everything and all of your energy and all of your attention and all of your driving time and all of your, until you fall in bed at night and give your spouse really
No
nothing.
energy for nothing.
Exactly. And with no husband. And
Right.
that's not the goal. So the goal needs to be always in a marriage, that marriage, doesn't it?
It does. And from a Christian background, and you can really apply this with any faith community, we're very much taught in the Christian couples counseling and pre-marriage preparations is that you are in a triangle, you, your spouse, and God. And
I love
so,
that.
thank you. And so it's very much that of where women, I understand we get into ruts. That might happen inadvertently. You get busy. Goodness, getting busy, it takes over your life. But there needs to be that agreement with your husband that our relationship is primary. Our relationship and my relationship with God actually comes before you, and your relationship with God better come before me, so that our relationship is primary for our whole family. Then you have a foundation for the marriage as well as for your kids, or they're ruling the house, not you, and you need to be the parents. Keeping your marriage a top priority. We've already talked about sex, very important. I was joking about, there are really two things, three that are most important in marriage, and it comes down to the dishwasher and the bathroom. It's like, ladies, be considerate about what we have in the bathroom, what we use. Men, put the toilet seat down, clean things up. It's those daily little things that matter. At the same time, have a regular couple time, whether it's we get away once every 6 weeks, every 8 weeks, our weekend alone together, a bed and breakfast, a marriage retreat once a year or so.
Yeah.
Get it in your calendar and make it sacred. And that's how you keep your marriage fresh and give it energy and vitality for a lifetime.
And it doesn't always have to be expensive. I think there are all kinds of resources out there with great ideas of how to keep marriage fresh, but it's putting that time into the marriage. And then I think, too, sharing that relationship with your children. I don't know, for some reason, it seems like a lot of parents take this, I call it the June Cleaver approach,
Right.
that we really, we sit like this all the time and we wear our pearls and we don't really, and really.
I have mine on.
It is, yes you do.
Thank you.
And really it is important, though, to let your children know that, hey, this relationship is primary. Without it, you're not here. And so we're taking this time for our trip, because the kids, they don't mean anything by it. But sure enough, my husband and I step out on the porch to have coffee in the morning, and my kids are all, we want to come too. We want to, and we're like, no, you know what? This is our time. Sometimes we close the door, and this is our time. Even if it's the sliding glass door and we're just having coffee together, sometimes parents need that time set aside. It sends a message both to each other and to the children, doesn't it?
It does, and that's exactly it. Kids, they need us to set those boundaries as well as give them those guidelines. They see us and they just think we're completely open, ready, and available to them. So you need to tell your kids, when mom and dad take our couples mugs, his and hers, hearts, whatever you want to use, it's your signal. We're going to take a few minutes together, and we step outside.
Couples mugs.
They're
Great
cute.
idea.
Thank you. And and we step outside onto the patio and close the door. Please don't disturb us. That's a special time for us. We'll just take a few minutes. Of course, if there's an emergency, knock.
Yes, the knocking really important. No stories here, but the knocking really important. I want to say one little trick that I do, and I hope this isn't like a crime or something, but the little hotel things you can put on the door?
Right.
Not the cheesy do not disturb ones, but like some of the hotels now, they've gotten
Super
super
classy,
creative.
they're
Like
cute.
they'll say, I'm finding my muse, and you can turn the little thing, and
Right.
just really cool. Anyway, I take those, and I bring those home, and I use those.
Yes.
And it makes it fun for my kids. They're like, oh, they're in there finding their muse. I wonder what that means. and we're just having coffee. Of course, of course. My grandma said, don't put on your nylons in front of him. I think that is the funniest thing about leaving that little element of mystery.
Yes.
That he doesn't need to see you do everything. And I advise young women who have come to me for marital advice, if you can, you have your restroom, he has his restroom. Some things are just best private.
When we can, absolutely. It's one that, or for goodness sakes, always close the door. Of course, in a marriage, you also want the flip side of where, because this is part of normal life over the course of the year. I have the flu, you have the flu. We are not looking pretty and gorgeous that day.
No, not at all.
Support each other. Other than that, close the door, keep things private.
Some things should definitely be kept private. That, according to our relationship expert, April Braswell. We have more on this topic, what you wish you would have known before you started. Stay with us for more Smart Life right after this.